Our Story Production presents The Road to Our Story, spotlighting an in-depth look at many of The Road to Our Story magazine's featured articles. So get ready, for you're about to travel on The Road to Our Story.
Hello, I'm Jason Howland, and welcome to Speaking of Health, a place to help you learn how to live a longer and healthier life. You know, being called the fat kid in school is tough to say the least. Teased and picked on by other students, leading to low self-esteem and depression. But childhood obesity is also a serious medical condition that can start kids on the path to major health problems down the road. However, there is help and hope. Here to tell us more about today's topic on childhood obesity is April Poolman. She is a certified family nurse practitioner from Mayo Clinic Health System. April, thanks for joining us today on Speaking of Health.
Absolutely, happy to be here.
Well, today we are talking about childhood obesity. First of all, how do you determine if a child is obese?
Sure, there's a simple calculation that we can do. We compare height and weight, put it into a calculator that helps calculate the body mass index, known as the BMI. We then take this BMI number and put it on a growth chart and compare your child to other children of similar age. Based on that, where they fall in a percentage-wise, kiddos falling in the 85th to 94th percentile are considered overweight. Children over 95th percentile are considered obese.
Now, when you talk percentile, so over the 95th percentile, that means 5% of the population at that age is obese, right?
What that means is when your child falls in the 95th percentile, it means 95% of kids their age weigh less than them or have a lower BMI, and 5% of those children actually weigh more than them.
So how common is childhood obesity then?
It is extremely common. We're seeing numbers jump very rapidly. 16 to 33% of children and adolescents in America are obese. Approximately 9 million children over the age of 6 are considered obese. In the last 30 years, we've seen numbers of preschool and teenage children double in obesity numbers, and kids age 6 to 11, that number's tripled.
Does it affect boys more than girls or vice versa?
Boys and girls equally are affected, as well as all races and ethnic groups in the United States.
So what causes a child to get to the point where they are physically obese?
There's a lot of factors that play a role here, multifactorial. We'll start with the most rare. There's a very small percentage of children that actually have a genetic or hormonal imbalance that leads them to be more prone to be obese. People talk a lot about family genetics. There are some genes where you can be more prone to gain weight rapidly, have more difficulties in losing this. However, in families, we really are looking at an environmental issue here, and food choices that are in the home, as well as more of a sedentary lifestyle. The number one and number two things we look at, obviously, is that lack of exercise and poor eating choices. Children nowadays are playing more Nintendo DS, more Wii. They're on their laptops, their iPads, and they're not playing outside. That's wasted time that previously we were doing to burn some calories. They are also making some poor food choices. Overeating is a big thing. Not only are children making bad choices, high-fat content foods, sugary drinks, but also just eating large amounts, 2 and 3 times their serving size.
Yeah, you know, nowadays the portions are just so large. You go to fast food, you see super size, large size. Your small or medium sizes are actually the old large sizes.
Absolutely.
And that's got to play a big factor in it, right?
Absolutely, it does. Even without supersizing, this amount of food that's being served to children is enormous.
Well, what sort of things can childhood obesity lead to then?
It can lead to many things that we once thought were just adult diseases. Type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, which is a combination of a few health diagnoses that lead you at an increased risk of heart disease and other problems. High cholesterol, high blood pressure, that both can eventually lead to heart attack and stroke. Asthma and difficulty breathing, carrying around a lot of extra weight makes it harder for you to breathe. At nighttime, when you lie down, you can have some sleep apnea, which is pauses in your breathing. That can increase your risk of heart attack and stroke later on as well. And early puberty, which can be tough for kids.
Well, it sounds like, just like adults, being overweight or obese can lead to sort of some of the same things: sleep apnea, trouble breathing, diabetes, high blood pressure,
Absolutely.
all of those things.
Absolutely, things that we haven't previously seen affect children, and really, we don't like to see them affect children. It's just too young.
Well, besides the physical health factors that you talked about, I'm assuming there can also be some psychological symptoms too.
Absolutely, kids struggle anyways in fitting in, trying to fit in, and kids can be mean and pick on them. And certainly, when you have a medical issue such as obesity, you really are sometimes being picked on by the other kids. This can lead to low self-esteem, increased risks of depression, as well as behavior and learning problems. These kids really don't all the time want to participate with the other kids. They don't want to be picked on, and they don't want to struggle at some of the things that kids their age can do easily.
Well, you talked about it being a medical issue, so at what point should parents take their child to the doctor?
Certainly, if parents have any concerns at all about their child's weight, bringing them into their family provider or pediatrician is definitely recommended. However, our hopes are that we don't get to the point where you have to bring your children in. We're hoping that when they come in for their regular preventative medicine visits, that we are getting heights and weights on your children, calculating their body mass index and graphing them on a chart. And those should be discussions that come up at all of their well child visits.
And that's yearly until the age 18, is that right?
It varies depending on their age. When they're very small, they come in right away after birth, 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, and then we follow along. When they're more of a school age, we see them sometimes once every 3 years. It just kind of depends on your special needs.
Well, what sort of treatment or help is there for obese children and teenagers?
Again, it depends on the age. So children under age 7, our goal is not necessarily weight loss, but more of a weight management. These kids are growing very rapidly. They're growing in their bones and their muscles, and we don't want to decrease that by any means, but certainly we don't want them to increase the amount of fat that they have on their body either. Children over 7, however, if they fall in an obese category, we do look at some weight loss. We want very gradual. A lot of adults will say, 1 to 2 pounds a week, that's what I've been told I should lose. And really, for a child, that's just too much. Our goal is more of maybe a half a pound a week, at the very most, maybe even a pound per month would be a success.
And how do kids lose that weight gradually? What are the ways that you do that?
Sure. The first thing is just making healthy food choices. Children don't have the option of eating Cheetos in the house if they aren't in the house. Surrounding your home with healthy snacks, fruits and vegetables. Changing some of the things, again, not only foods but also drinks. Not having your house full of soda, sugary drinks, Kool-Aid, things like that. Encouraging them to drink water and other low-calorie beverages.
Also, as a family, I would assume that you can do things together that would probably help too, right?
Absolutely. Again, snacking is great, having your house surrounded by those things, but sitting down for family meals is huge. It's unfortunately lost in our busy, crazy schedules, grabbing a sandwich on the go, but sitting down with a family and the table completely full of healthy choices is just a great way that parents can monitor and really just talk to your kids about what's going on.
How about fast food?
Fast food, again, there are some fast food choices that are not good. It doesn't mean you can never eat at fast food again. Certainly, that's a tough buy for really anybody.
Almost impossible.
Yes, almost impossible. But there are some good choices, and it doesn't mean you have to eat salad. You can have a chicken breast sandwich. There are many good choices.
And besides eating healthy, you want to also get your kids active, right?
Absolutely. It's the balance between the calories we put in our body and the calories we burn out. So our normal metabolism burns some calories if we even do just our normal activities. However, if we get out and do some activity and get our heart beating quicker, then we're able to burn even more. So it doesn't always have to be exercise. You don't have to tell your kids, get out and run a mile, today is the day, or go out for football practice even though you don't like it. That's not necessary. You can do certain things around your house, whether that's, running outside and playing with your kids, dancing to music while you're getting ready for school or while you're cooking supper, just, taking all those opportunities to not only bond with your kids, but for them to burn some calories and not feel like they're they're being forced to do anything. Again, another thing you can do in your house is set the rule of limiting TV. Less than 2 hours of TV/video games/computers a day is plenty. And it's not hard to get to that 2-hour limit. But if kids are limited to that, then they have to find something else to bide their time, and they will choose some activities.
Well, what about weight loss medications and surgeries? We hear about that as a solution for obese adults. Isn't it a solution for children or adolescents?
Right. Weight loss medicines are not approved for children. They're not safe. Certainly, there's even some question on how safe they are in adults, but certainly nobody wants to do any research studies on kids to see if we can make some bad things happen to get those medicines approved. So they're not. They're really not. Surgeries, there's some extreme cases where you might see a 17-year-old that qualifies for some of those surgeries and they go ahead and have that done. But really the key here is changing the lifestyle that these kids have. If we start at a very young age, again, a lot of times we don't even have to deal with obesity issues. And it's just teaching them and generations to come on how to make good choices.
I'd like you to also talk a little bit about the role of parents, because I'm sure it's a key role when you're talking about childhood obesity, right?
Absolutely. There are some beliefs that my kids are in PE class at school, they don't need to do any more activities, and that's just an educational piece that we as providers have that role to encourage them. It's great that they have PE class, sometimes even 5 days a week at some schools, but it's just sometimes not enough. It's to supplement, and so we encourage parents to really take an active role with their kids. You can have a great time. It's great bonding time, and just a way to keep in touch with them. We do want parents, however, to be patient. It didn't take them a year to put this weight on. It probably took longer than that, and certainly it's not going to come off in a year. It's going to be a long, gradual process, but those are the processes that stick. Also, be very sensitive in how you're talking to these kids. You know as parents that we can say things to our children, they were instantly offended and they don't talk to us for 3 days. We don't want that to happen. We want them to feel safe at home. They may be already picked on at school, and we want them to know that when you come home you are safe here. However, you still need to talk to them about fitness and making healthy choices.
Yeah, but you still want to be open and honest
Absolutely.
about what you hope to accomplish, right?
Yep, absolutely. And again, that open communication is so good in many aspects of raising kids.
I would assume that it's also very important probably for parents to also be just setting a good example and being just as involved with healthy choices when it comes to eating and exercise.
Absolutely. Right? It's amazing when we start working with children on managing obesity, how you'll see their parents kind of shriveling away as we go with it. And if any of you played any activities in high school or in middle school, it's a lot easier when your track coach runs those laps with you versus just standing on the sidelines telling you to do it while they, are drinking pop and such.
And you don't have those cookies in the cupboards and the soft drinks in the fridge
Right.
if mom and dad aren't eating or drinking that stuff too.
Exactly. And there are some families where one child is obese and one is not. That doesn't mean that, we have cookies in the cupboard for the thin child. That's not how that works.
Mm-hmm.
It's everybody's treated the same. And really, even if you have children in your house that don't have weight concerns, they will definitely benefit from making good food choices.
So April, I would imagine sometimes you have parents who come in with their children for some other medical issue, but it may be the underlying problem is obesity. Do you get resistance sometimes from parents, and why do you think that is?
Sometimes there's some resistance, and I don't know if it's the parents. I really don't think it's parents in denial. It's parents protecting their children. Mm-hmm. And you've brought this issue up, and now you're somebody else who's picking on my kid, and that as a parent is very hard for people to accept. We are usually very generalized in bringing up these subjects. If you come in for a physical and we notice that your child's BMI is in that 85th or higher percentile, we bring up things like healthy eating choices, and we even talk about that to children who have normal BMIs as well. But just know that if we talk about that and you leave and you think, I wonder if they said that because my child might be a little bit heavier, please call.
There's probably some instances where parents maybe have no idea how many hours their kids are playing those video games. They didn't realize they were playing them for hours and hours
Absolutely.
at a time, or that they're drinking that much soda or what have you.
Absolutely.
Right?
You look at some of those drinks and you think, they have cartoon characters on them, and this is great for my kid, and you turn it around and it has 400 calories, and they can have 1,500 for the day, that's a huge percentage of those calories. And again, education, that's where it comes into, and educating yourself, taking an active role in knowing I'm the parent, these are my children, and I have to do what's best for them.
All right. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have. I'd like to thank our guest today, April Pullman, Certified Family Nurse Practitioner from Mayo Clinic Health System, for joining us.
Thank you.
To make an appointment with April, you can call 507-238-8501 or 1-800-234-6141. Thanks for joining us today on Speaking of Health. Have a great day and be healthy.
There you have it, folks. One of the favorite stories ripped from the pages of The Road to Our Story magazine. Let's have a look at another.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Dave Smith, and I am ready to share insight on some of the issues that are most important to people today. Now, I love technology. It's wonderful stuff, computers and all the gadgetry. I love it all. But something is drastically wrong when the devices that are specifically created to save us time do nothing more than make us busier than ever. With that in mind, I think it's time for a new view on multitasking. Remember when people used to leave the house to get away from the phone? I recall those days as if they were 35 years ago. But now, people have cell phones that they take with them everywhere, and they don't want to miss the most meaningless and trivial phone calls. Well, I guess I can understand the part about wanting to seem hip or trendy or popular, even in demand, but come on. How many people really have to take that call in the middle of their child's grade school musical? But then again, you wouldn't want to miss that call from Dancing with the Surviving Idols looking for their next contestant. All technology has done is made us slaves to multitasking, which, contrary to what your boss may tell you, is way overrated. As a matter of fact, a study done by King's College just a couple of years ago proves that very point. Because what they did was they took two groups and they split them up. They had them take tests, then they came back and retested them later. But the first group, during the second testing, they had interruptions like email, cell phone calls, and questions, things that you would find people multitasking would do. The other group, now, they smoked pot. That's right, weed, hemp, herb, Mary Jane, herbal cigarettes, they got high. Now, you know what? You can guess already which group scored better when they came back and recalculated the grades on that one. Right, the stoners. Multitasking is bad for your mind. Okay? So, you wouldn't want anybody coming to work high, would you? I didn't think so. But we ask them to multitask all the time. So maybe the next time that your boss asks you to do some multitasking, you can come back to him with this one simple question. Are you high? That's it for me today. That's a new view. I'm Dave Smith saying rice is great if you're really hungry and want about 2,000 of something.
Today we're back with our good friend Bill Bussey. This Song's for You host. Welcome, Bill.
Thanks, Jeff.
And Bill, as usual, shares with us music that is performing, musicians who are performing throughout southern Minnesota. And today?
And today we have David Stoddard, who lives in Fergus Falls, Minnesota. David said he learned to play music when he was going to college studying biology. Biology lasted 3 weeks, but music has lasted forever. He started teaching music, guitar and piano, etc., and began writing songs. He was much influenced by the 70s, folk music scene.
Now his style too, if I might interrupt, his style too is very humorous. I mean, he has a lot of humor in his songs.
Writes about real life experiences, which many times are really quite laughable. I mean, if you want to enjoy life, they are anyway. And we have some marvelous songs by Dave, too. It was hard to select, so, which are you going to let the listeners listen to, because there were so many good ones. But Jeff and I really both liked a song called Driving in a Circle.
Absolutely.
And we have a couple others called Stuff.
Just Stuff.
Stuff. And Harley Guy. So that's about it.
Let's listen to Dave Stoddard.
And we had a little hint of snow this week, everyone was sort of walking around saying, well, it had to happen eventually. Although last year we weren't sure, but it reminded me of this joke. Seems there were two snowmen who were standing in a field, and they were just standing around, and one snowman says to the other snowman, "Do you smell carrots?" I love that joke. Thank you. I love that. That's one of those delayed reaction jokes. We got 200 years of history. We got the greatest nation on earth. 200 years of culture since the moment of our birth. Yes, we invented ice cream, we invented jazz and blue jean pants. We think our entertainment might be somewhat advanced. Instead, we like to watch some cars go driving in a circle. Guys become celebrities for going round and round. We're fascinated by the way they're driving in a circle, round and round and round and round and round. Now we give our money, great gobs and sums and piles, to men whose only skill would be to drive 500 miles. Well, I've driven that far and more without ever being passed. Not a single crowd was cheering me as I went flying past. Oh, but how we love to watch those cars go driving in a circle. Guys become celebrities for going round and round. We're fascinated by the way they're driving in a circle, round and round and round and round and round and round and round. Slack-jawed, we're like infants. We love shiny things with sound, and we're hypnotized and mesmerized. It's a mobile going around. It's like waiting for the paint to dry. It's like watching your garden grow. And if you all like watching traffic, why don't you just get the damn window? Oh, but how we love to watch those cars go driving in a circle. Guys become celebrities for going round and round. Hey, y'all, come look and watch them driving in a circle, round and 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 round. Every man wants a bigger truck. Every woman wants a bigger man. All the children want a bigger yard. Ain't nobody happy where they are, 'cause it's never enough. We got to have more stuff. It will never do for me to have less stuff than you. It's happy birthday to me when it's seen on TV, surrounded by my closest things. It's sure now when I die, bring out your shovels and your plows, 'cause you will not believe your eyes when you wade into my house. You'll say it was never enough. He had to have more stuff, and it will never do for me to have less stuff than you. Oh no, it's never enough. I got to have more stuff, and it will never do for me to have less stuff than you. I like to think I'm open-minded, or I used to be, I guess. But every night I'm kept awake, and every morning I'm a mess. Every morning, 2 a.m., not a day goes by that I'm not rocked from sleep by this Harley guy. I can hear him coming from a mile or 2 or 3. Guess the cops must really fear his physiognomy. We had a car like that, man, they ticket you or I, but he's okay, 'cause he's a Harley guy. And the boots are made of leather, and their caps and their jackets too. They'll wear this uniform when they're riding fro and two. They say they're rugged individuals, but the image goes awry when they say in unison, we're all Harley guys. And everybody sings, we're all Harley guys. Got it? We're all Harley guys. We're all Harley guys. They sit around all day and they gotta take their meetings on the phone. And when these rebels eat their little lunch, they call their families at home. And then they slink home in their minivans, John Denver and Air Supply. But hey, every weekend, they're all Harley guys. And the boots are made of leather, the caps and the jackets too. They'll wear their uniforms when they're riding front too. They all dress alike, it's kind of like suits without the ties. And they say in unison, we're all Harley guys. Man, we're all Harley guys. We're all Harley guys. We're all Harley guys. We're all Harley guys. Well, I don't really own a hog, I guess I'm just a wannabe. But I don't make the kind of dough that allows me to ride free. If I add it up and find I'm still a couple of thousand shy, could I still join your little club and be a Harley guy? You're just a noisy, lonely guy who needs someone to be. So you sold your soul to the marketing staff at the Harley Company. And if that keeps you awake at night, well then ha-ha, now we're tied. Get a life, you noisy Harley guy. And the boots are made of leather, the caps and the jackets too. They'll wear this uniform when they're riding front too. They all dress alike, it's kind of like suits without the ties. And then they say in unison, wow, Harley guys. Man, we're all Harley guys. We're all Harley guys. We're all Harley guys. We're all Harley guys. Born to be wild.